It is my pleasure to introduce Eric Hazen, who will be presenting Supercharging Your Program's Marketing with Ferris.edu. Take it away, Eric.
Yeah, I think I got a little bit carried away with supercharging, but we'll try and get it going a little bit. Thanks, Megan. I'm Eric. I know most of you. A few of you I don't. So I am the university's web marketing manager. I took over from Ted Holm in August. Before that, I was the marketing manager for statewide and online. And before that, I did a lot of e-commerce stuff. So I'm hoping to show you a few things about what we're doing with the website, and also how some of the changes we're making, we hope will, not hope, we know will help you supercharge your program's marketing. So the first thing we want to do is we're looking to kind of build a better Ferris.edu. That's always our goal every day. But right now we have a unique opportunity in that we are implementing a brand new web template. I'm sure you've seen it across the site at this point. It's on the home page. A lot of the prospective student touch points are now converted, including admissions and financial aid. And we're working our way through the academic colleges and some of the other areas of the university. We hope to have that done in about 8 months is our big goal. So far, we've been beating our goals, so I hope that continues. But a few things that you should know about Ferris.edu. It's a 15,000 page website, so it's big. It's not a small site. We also have about 53,000 total items. So that's images, PDFs, all the other stuff that sits on the website. We have 169 content editors, so people who have access to edit content on the site. And we have 600,000 roughly monthly users and about 1.4 million monthly page views. So it's a pretty big site. And it also tends to punch a little bit above its weight class as far as carrying users. Some of the concepts I'm carrying into this implementation, we really want a fresh, modern, mobile-first design. So the phrase before was mobile friendly. We don't care about mobile friendly anymore. We need mobile first. Our users are on their cell phones or their tablets. 80 to 90% of especially prospective student traffic is on their mobile device. So it needs to be mobile first. We also need it to be accessible and easily navigated. Accessible, we're doing a really good job of. We are approaching the closing of our few years old case with the Office of Civil Rights. So we're checking all their boxes. And easily navigated is something we're still working on. So there's a lot of built up links on the site and a lot of different templates going on. So what we're trying to do now is implement the template and then we'll optimize it once we're finished implementing. Ferris.edu, a better Ferris.edu should also be measurable. Previous iterations of the Ferris.edu site were a little limited in some of the measurements that you could do and who you could track. So the Ferris web marketing team really needs to be able to help you and your program answer these 3 questions. How many key actions like application clicks, RFI clicks, which would be a request for information click, how many visit schedules, how many advisor appointments, how many of those are happening on your page? We should be able to tell you that. We should also be able to tell you who's taking action on your page, who's accomplishing those key actions, and how can we improve and encourage people to take more action? And we can only do that by setting up the measurement tools that we need. We should also be responsive. So usually when we talk responsive, we're talking about the website itself. It should be a responsive design. Screen sizes, devices, it should respond. But I also want the web team to be responsive. So we should be responsive to the facts and the data that we collect. If we see that a particular page is doing really well, we need to figure out why and implement that across the site. We shouldn't just do things because that's how we've always done it or because such and such department owns this page. We should take the data and use it. We also need to be responsive to the needs of our partners. So that's all of you, plus everybody else at the university. And the thoughts that you have. You experience the website differently than I do. I edit it every day. I have a very different perspective on the website than you do. And so I sometimes need your outside opinions, all of us do, to figure out that we made mistakes or we are doing something really well that we didn't know we were doing. And it's also not the web team's website. We work on it, but it's just borrowed. It's your website. And we want to make sure that we're being a good partner helping you accomplish all of your goals there. And finally, to be a better Ferris.edu, we need to be focused on prospective students almost exclusively. We have to still serve all the constituencies that we have, which are more diverse than you might expect. But we should always be filtering every action that we take on the site through the question, will this help us get more students? So Ferris.edu is our marketing engine, really. The survey from, this is from Ruffalo Noel Levitz, their E-Expectations Guide 2019, that's pretty much all the data I'm going to share in the next few slides where it came from. So when you ask high school seniors what the most influential resource for them was, it's the website. Beating out financial aid calendars or calculators, text, email, it's the website. The website's also where students go to contact an institution. So they're interested from the information they found on the website, then they go back to the website to learn more and contact us. About 76% of students would use a contact form on the website. And finally, after meeting an admissions rep, they go back to the website. So they are really finding everything they need to know about their next steps and why they should take it on the website, and then coming back for more. So where are we at first impressions? In the last 30 days, we've had 160,000 new users come to Ferris.edu for the first time. So coming to Ferris.edu, it is their first impression of the website for sure. But as a university that attracts students beyond Michigan, and I grew up I went to high school in Metro Detroit. I didn't know anything about Ferris. I'd barely heard about Ferris. I knew about the hockey team and that was it. So these first time visitors, they're really experiencing the Ferris brand for the first time. So where are they coming from? Mostly organic search. That's true for most websites, but ours in particular is great on organic search. Over 70% of our users are coming from organic search. Another 20 from direct, which means they clicked or typed in a URL. Another 5 from social, and then referrals, which is a click from another site. Most of our traffic comes from searches on sites like Google. What are they doing on the site? 20-ish% are coming to the homepage. 6% are going to our various marketing landing pages, but the vast majority are going somewhere other than the homepage or a marketing landing page, meaning the vast majority of them, their first experience of the Ferris website and probably the Ferris brand is somewhere other than a homepage or a marketing landing page. It's important to remember that they're not landing on the homepage as much as I think most think. So what are they doing on the site? For about 5% of our new users, this is their first impression. This is a top landing page for new users. The differences between secondary and post-secondary education. And you might say, that's just for parents. No, 18 to 24-year-olds are hanging out on this page, learning more about the differences between secondary and post-secondary education. Why? Because Google's not telling them that this is for students who have a disability. They're going here to learn about the general audience differences between secondary and post-secondary education. So this is a reason to consider metadata. It's a reason to consider page titling and all kinds of other practices. But for 5% of our users, that is their first impression of the university. And it's not necessarily a bad impression, but it certainly doesn't have a next step. So what are the conversion rates on these top landing pages? These are our top 5 landing pages. The homepage and the marketing landing pages have good conversion rates, meaning they're taking action on those pages. But those next 3, over the last 30 days, 2 total conversions. So not great. That gives us two options. We could either improve the conversion rates on these pages, or we could increase traffic to pages where prospects are actually converting. So what do those pages look like? That's a lot of online pages. These are program pages specifically for online programs. So your long-term care certificate is converting at 66% of students who land there. Public health is over 30. Ethical hacking is over 30. HVAC is over 23. Optometry is over 20. These are amazing conversion rates. So what makes them special? They all have minimal amounts of text near the top of the page, so a student is not wading through a ton of a wall of text. They're not weighed down by long lists of internal links for current students or parents or all these other things other than prospective students. They all have very clear, very specific calls to action very near or just below the fold, what we used to call the fold, but the bottom of the screen. And they are all related to a specific program or degree. Okay, so I've thrown a ton at you really quick, so I'm gonna go over it really fast. Most of our traffic goes to pages other than the Ferris homepage. So every page on our site needs to make a great impression. Our most visited pages are not necessarily the most valuable from an enrollment or prospect standpoint. And pages related to specific academic programs appear to have an advantage on conversions. Most users are on their mobile device, pretty obvious it should be, and most of our traffic comes from searches on sites like Google. And what do we know about Ferris prospects? From the StayMates research a couple of years ago, we know that Ferris prospects are focused on particular fields. In that respect, they behave a little more like graduate students than undergrads at other institutions. The website is the most influential resource in their decision-making process. They use the website to contact us, and they return to the website even after they meet with a real live person. So web page, what this means is that web pages for academic programs are key, and making sure they rank highly in Google is absolutely critical. So what does it mean to build a high-performing program page? Short, snappy, and inclusive are the top line bullets. You should have a strong sense of audience. This is about your copy, it's about your photography. You need to know who you're talking to, and you need to talk to one of them at a time. The old way of writing about an academic program was in X program, students will learn blah, 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 blah. You will learn in this program that was made for you. Direct address is powerful in this kind of copy. Avoid jargon, where our pages are covered in jargon all over the place, whether it's industry jargon, higher ed jargon like FAFSA or FIDIAC. What kind of disease is that? I think most of them wonder. All kinds of things that prospective students don't know what you're talking about. And then Ferris jargon is alienating to prospective students. What is RSS? What is statewide? What is the COB? They don't necessarily know these things at all. Also, our pages, we saw one earlier, they're too long and people are not reading them. Too much copy stuffed in there. And then photography and video are awesome, but the opposite is true for bad photography or bad video. It makes your program look a little bit amateurish, and it's not going to go over well with students at all. So here's another great example of a page. This is our new orientation hub. This thing gets students to launch their orientation very quickly and very effectively. The biggest thing that it has going for it, just like those other pages we looked at, clear call to actions, defining next steps. This is what you do next. And then for the bots, we're going to talk about this really fast. SEO, just a fancy way of saying we're going to make sure that your page ranks as high as possible in Google. So here's some examples of different Google searches. This is a business degree search. So we got hammered by Southern New Hampshire. I don't even know what school that is, Davenport. And over here, searching for a Ferris business degree, the first thing that comes up is Oshkosh. Why? Because they're running ads. But we still could be beating them with this if we were ranking high enough. And as the very lame marketing joke goes, the best place to hide a dead body is the second page of Google results. Somewhere between, depending on the study you read, 75 to 95% of clicks happen on the first page of Google. So if you're on that second page of Google, you're probably lost. So we want to send the right signals to Google whenever possible. Google really is a black box. If you ask a Google engineer, why is my page ranking the way it is, they probably can't tell you definitively. So the signals that we know Google likes, we want to make sure we're maximizing. Those include things like page traffic, page engagement, unique content, backlinks, keywords, metadata, all these things that you really don't need to worry about other than to write copy that connects with your students and get them to click a link. If they're engaging with your page, that's the best you can do for your SEO. We'll take care of a lot of the rest. Oh my God, this is overwhelming. Fair. You don't need to be a web or a marketing expert. That's why I have a job. That's why my team has jobs. We're here. Schedule time with us to talk about what's going to work for your program, especially as we're in this implementation phase with the new template. It's much easier for us to work with you to get your metadata and all that great stuff really ready to go while we're implementing the new template for you. Ask us for data. If you're curious, we would love to share and have a half hour or an hour conversation about the data from your page and how you can work with it to make your page better, and focus your efforts. If there's similar content on the site to your page, a couple of things are happening. You're hurting each other in Google. Your rankings are going to decline because there's competing content there. You're also making it confusing for students to find your pages. So really focus your pages into one condensed, awesome page. And this is not an overnight fix, so it takes time. It's a process that takes months to show results, and it's something you have to maintain. So where could you start? If you already have access to edit your pages, which some of you do, we'd love to work with you, set up a time to talk to us, but you can start by maybe you could add an apply link to the body of your page. Maybe you could create a Calendly account, maybe talk to EIO about that, and get that link on your page so students are interacting with it. Could you use shorter copy and direct address to connect with students more readily? Maybe you can remove links and content that's focused on current students instead of prospects. And if you've got content buried in PDFs, it needs to be a web page. Nobody wants to download that thing. And if you don't have access to edit your page, we would love to work with you. Set up a time for us to talk. I think that's the theme. Consider joining us as an editor. You go through a training session. It is really a joke. It's a word processor, not even on steroids. It's a word processor on protein powder. It's simple, and we'd love to have you. So let's work together. What kind of questions do you guys have?
Eric, I have a question.
Yeah.
So in several academic leadership council meetings, there's been conversation about the university's approach to not really marketing specific programs, but marketing the university as a whole. Can you talk about whether or not that's evolving or changing, and how what you just presented fits into that? Because it seems like what you just presented is absolutely amazing, and I agree with it completely. And I can see that with the big landing of online programs and certificates, we know that you helped us with those. And so that's why they're so awesome. And so to be able to do that for programs across the university would be really beneficial.
Yeah, for sure. So my focus on program-based web marketing really comes from my time on Jen's team in EIO. That's what we did, right? We didn't have a beautiful, amazing campus to market or all the other cool things that we have at main campus. So we focused on programs and how they can change people's lives. And I can't speak for the advertising budgets and how those will go, but what I can speak about is how we can use free just hard work on the website to elevate programs. So that doesn't require any money or advertising at all. It just requires, again, schedule time to talk to me so we can talk about getting your program page optimized.
Awesome, thank you. If you don't mind, I'll share that information with ALC. So don't be surprised if you get bombarded, and I apologize in advance.
I hope so.
Speaking of ALC, Amy and Eric, I feel like maybe this presentation would be good to give there. I'm really disappointed that there aren't more program people here in attendance. I think, there's certainly many more that would benefit from this. So is ALC an opportunity to do this presentation?
We would absolutely love to have you come and do this. I think like I said, it is a topic. Those of you that attend ALC regularly, even when Trinity was the chair of it, it was a conversation that we've had for years now. And so I think it would be very timely and welcomed. And I can help with that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
I have a question, Eric. You had mentioned a 8-month timeline of moving, everything over to the new marketing. What is kind of the process for that as somebody who does manage the webpage for our program?
Sure. Well, Jeff Eck is here, so we're going through that with him right now, which is, it's a slightly different process in that situation, in that we're bringing them over and into Omni where they weren't before. So you're already in Omni. It's a little more simple. I like to basically sit down with you with a spreadsheet that has all your content and say, what can we delete? What is old? What can we make go away? And what are the pages? We'll share data with you. What are the pages that are making people move towards your program? And how can we focus some of the content that's not converting into those pages that are converting, or figure out why they're converting? And once we figure that out, make some content adjustments, then we'll actually start migrating the pages. Since they're already in Omni, it's really simple. You don't even know we're there. We never have to take your content down or anything like that. We go in and overwrite the page with the template, essentially, and it's done.
Sounds easy enough.
Yeah.
So it's been a good experience working through this process. And I think I would just touch on one of the things you mentioned here, that we're in a different situation as the College of Business, not being in Omni. We have the opportunity to look at everything and say, do we really need this, or do we want to move this, or what does this need to become? And I think that's really a good exercise for anybody. Easier for us because we can leave it there and it doesn't come over, or it changes. You mentioned 15,000 pages on the site, and you've probably eliminated a lot, but there could be pages that, are years and years and years old. Things just do not go away. And so it's really a good opportunity to get rid of some of that clutter, moving through this process. But I guess one of my questions is, this talk today is program focused. That's something that we've been talking to you about too. We're very program focused over in the college. We had a good discussion with you, about even, you talked about, Ferris speak or terminology or even academic speak. What really resonates with, prospective student? Is it a program? Is it a degree? Is it is it a career? Or, those kinds of questions based on data, answered based on data are really good to have happen. And then the UX, the user experience to get to a program. You've mentioned that our incoming traffic doesn't necessarily land on the front page, but they land on a page which contains some navigation to get them around. And it is hard to find a program or a degree, to get to the place where we really want them to be based on what they know coming in. So I guess I didn't know if I really had a question or it was more of a comment. Thanks.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about that, and my meetings with you, and you're not alone. And I couldn't agree with all of you more on that. We need to, I think I shared in our last College of Business meeting, shared some of the examples of things that I like, the directions I want to go. And I'm hoping we can get there. We do have this unique university where students are so program focused. Let's make our webpage that way. Let's make sure we're focusing on the things that students are actually coming here for. There is some difference, of course. I mean, not everybody is a Ferris student out of the gates. We want to make sure that we're also offering content for them, so that we're not limiting ourselves to students who are predisposed, I guess. But I couldn't agree more. And that's where finishing this in 8 months, once we get there, we'll be able to start really playing around with what's working and what's not working.
Well, we are past our time. So I just want to thank Eric for his presentation. And there is another one before the debrief and the celebration of scholarly work. So still some more sessions to see, but thank you again, Eric.
Thank you.